Hi, and I'm going to bring in a bit of Quentin Tarantino here. Yeah, it's a little dark, 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 and I'm doing now a bit of Steven Spielberg. The shark coming in, zooming in, and I bring in light. Quentin Tarantino does this. He makes it dark and then brings in light. Brings in light. There you go. There's some light there. That's in Django Unchained. And Steven Spielberg, of course, Jaws, this series. The shark coming in from back, the camera zooming, and it comes in. And Django Unchained, suddenly the shooting happens, it's dark, and the light comes in. And, the whole scene becomes a clear, there's a clarity of vision in the viewer as far as the scene goes. It's the dark deeds are happening, and then there's light. The dark deed is done, and maybe the good man has taken over. I mean, he's shot the bad guy, that sort of a thing. So that's for effect. The dark deed is done, dark lights, and so that sort of thing. I mean, even good guys do dark deeds, right? So there you go. So, anyways, I'd like to first begin with this cake decoration of mine. It is chemical symbols. Can you tell? C and CO2. What is it? Air. And then I spoiled this whole thing. I'm a spoiler alert, because my husband says all the time you need to keep them guessing, and I'm here. And then there's HHO water. No. Unless they're kids, all right, they're learning. Small kids are learning. And then the CHO starch thing, fats, protein has other things too, but CHO are the CONH bonds, peptide bonds, COOH, all fatty acids. Then what else do we have? Sugars, CHO. Voila. Air, water, the maple leaf, flag, air, water, and food. There we go. All right. So now back to my workaholic. Maybe I bring in shopaholic last. I bring in sexaholic in the second place. So workaholic is this one. I have to thank this book, the author of this book, for having given me a bit of feedback on edible sculptures. And this looks like a PhD friend of mine. No, I don't have a PhD, but she was doing a PhD, a graduate school, the graduate chemical engineering school. It looks like a bit like her, except, well, she's acquired certain appendages over the years, so to speak. Yeah, I always have these, puppies, babies. So there we go. She's in a blue dress, but in the book, she's in a Volga, the lady. She's the Victorian tea dance heroine. And first, I would like to show you this book, Ali Hazelwood, Not in Love. You got to read it. This is my third Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood has a PhD in neurosciences. And she has a ditzy side. It's not good for a neuroscientist, but it's good in a romantic book. With all her heroines are technical graduates, physics. This one is an engineer, chemical engineer. You can't go wrong with that. And she has worked on she's single though. I had a child when I worked in the University of Toronto on starch hydrolysis, enzymatic hydrolysis. The same process here. But this woman works with soluble enzyme. I worked with immobilized enzyme. Yeah, so I let you enjoy the book all by yourself. And what do I have? I thought of, I worked for Iogen Corporation after that in Ottawa. And Iogen Corporation was a pioneer at the time in bringing out bioethanol, making bioethanol. It actually came into, because the Kyoto Protocol, 1997, had dictated that climate change had to be reduced, and greenhouse gas emissions had to be reduced, and that sort of thing. And so Brian Foodie, the CEO, and his father was the president then, Patrick Foodie. I wonder if he's still alive, Patrick Foodie. Maybe he was not so old. I mean, now maybe he's a little old. And so they had begun in Canada, and they were one of the first ones in the world, of course, to begin making bioethanol. Which would cut down carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide emissions, and and NOx emissions from cars, of course, because gasoline. And we were just driving back from Sauble Beach or Algonquin Park on Highway 11, Highway 12. It's the scenic route, and I saw cornfields. And I thought, I should paint a cornfield and have a process right next door for making bioethanol. And then I thought maybe they should buy a plant, Asian Corporation, grow cornfields, and just in the summer and pick them and make bioethanol and stuff. The half the process is in making glucose. And then glucose is converted to ethanol. Yeah, so that's the first process. I worked on the first process. I didn't go to glucose being converted to ethanol, actually. But I think I did this at home in my own research experiments. Things look promising, but I may not make money, as I said before. Anyways, looking at Roughing It in the Bush, I bought this for the Canadian Pioneer International Women's Day celebration I had at home as a small party. And this is a description. It's mostly about Quebec. Falling in love. The lady's coming from Britain and she docks in Quebec, and she falls in love with Quebec and how beautiful it is, etc. But then, Ontario. I've always lived in Ontario ever since I moved from Bangalore to Phoenix and to Toronto. And so a little bit on Ontario. There's some on Toronto too. So yeah, so here, the shore of, I'll just pick up a random line. You will have to read the connected. There's Peterborough and everything. The shores vibrate and tremble beneath the force of the impetuous flood as it whirls around cedar-covered islands and opposing rocks and hurries on to pour its tribute into the Rice Lake, to swell the calm, majestic grandeur of the Trent till its waters are lost in the beautiful Bay of Quinte, and finally merged in the blue ocean of Ontario. Well, of course, that's Lake Ontario. It's hyperbole. Lake is being called an ocean. The most renowned of our English rivers dwindle into little muddy rills when compared with the sublimity of the Canadian waters. No language can adequately express the solemn grandeur of her lake and river scenery, the glorious islands that float, like visions from fairyland, upon the bosom of these azure mirrors of her cloudless skies. And no dreary breadth of marshes. I mean, you have swamps and everything. There's more. You can look at it yourselves. And there's swamps, and swamps have snakes and crocs and alligators, and it could get out of hand. I mean, eco-harmony may not take over. I mean, the bad guys die. I think reptiles, as I'm finding out, have no depth or have very long lifespans, and they lay eggs, so they multiply faster. It's not good. It's not good news, because it's either us or them. They're dangerous, you see. I mean, birds, well, and killing one bullet doesn't take care of the alligator or crocodile, and they get dangerous too. So it's not always good, preserving our flora and fauna. Flora, the poisonous plants, you don't want them to. So the wrong child could just taste a little bit, or we ourselves, and yeah, that's not good. Anyways, so going to sexaholic, it just occurred to me, DNA is in the semen, and yet not in the ovarian egg. During the baby making process, the mother gives her DNA to the embryo and the fetus and the child, and that sort of fascinated me. And so the paternity suit, I mean, DNA, could be checked out by a man's biological sample, and so that would be a way of figuring out who's the father. But anyways, I was reading. I've read this book, The Double Helix. This was a pick during my graduate school days, chemical engineering days, and it's very interesting. These guys actually, Watson partied and had girlfriends and that sort of thing. Typical graduate school. I was married though, totally faithful to my husband, but I did have a little bit of fun, coffee times and things like that. Yeah, and here they say mathematical equations. Okay. Hurriedly, they went through their respective mathematics and discovered that Bill had used an elegant derivation compared to Francis Crick, more laborious approach. Gleefully, however, they found they had arrived at the same final answer. Then they checked the alpha helix by visual inspection with Max's X-ray diagrams. The agreement was so good that both Linus' model and their theory had to be correct. So Linus Pauling, exclusion principle, what was his model? Exclusion principle, something on valency, right? Valency or the sigma bonds, bond angles, bond lengths. I don't remember, but I'm just thinking about it. I thought mathematically you could, come up with an equation: bond angles, bond length, James Bond 007, size of the DNA molecule, and you could check for Euclidean spaces in the X-ray, and if there is an adherence to the Pythagoras theorem, and then you will see that if that's not the case, then it's not a Euclidean space. Is a the alpha helical, so double helical, a Euclidean space? Probably not. So fun. It took a while. Of course, Rosalind Franklin was denied the proper credit, but maybe she was paid. And I don't know. I found a paper by Professor Molly Shoykett. It was herself, and she had a picture. She looked like a movie actress posing for the picture. Quite unorthodox, but she has a string of awards, and she's the associate chair. Professor Allen, Graham D. Allen, is the chair of the Department of Chemical Engineering in the University of Toronto. And he has all my research done over 4 or 5 years. I even baked this cake for him. This is my, sort of um, feminine gesture for him to get going. I either pass on my collection to John Wiley Canada, who would see it, or have it published. So I'm going to take this cake tomorrow to him. And yeah, so Professor Shoykett, I lost the thread of what I was saying. That's a different argument altogether. Her research, some other time. It's just the paper deals with and it's not caught on. It's a 2009 paper. For some reason, the whole research has been hidden, although it's been published. And I figured this out because my mother is an invalid. She's had 2 back surgeries and is unable to walk. And unless witchcraft promotes her the health of her back, she's going to remain this way. She has nursemates and everything. And it occurred to me after reading this paper, because stem cell induced cellular growth around, so you would inject a stem cell and it would mimic the back cells growth, because stem cells adapt, right? And they can grow like any cell. They can copy the pattern, copycat DNA, actually, you could call it. And this would come around polymer scaffolds, and they've mentioned a few polymers. They may not be the right ones, so somebody has to be a guinea pig. And then they would entwine and develop their own cellular growth and attach themselves to the vertebral column, because something has been inserted inside, and you can't just walk like that. So the cells have to grow around them. It's all occurring to me now after I looked at the paper. And then she would be able to walk. So it's interesting, isn't it? Medicine. But 2009 paper. She had a surgery, back surgery in 2007, first one. The second one in recent times, 17, 19, 17, 18. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, coming to Shopaholic, I should buy. I didn't show you my edible art for the perfect double helical structure. And this is for Shopaholic. This is Beau Bichette. I made this for my son, and he has made contact with the ball, right angle, right hit, and it's going to go for a home run. And or it looks like a fly ball actually. But, we give him more credit for it. I mean, he gets home runs, I'm sure. Blue Jays player, Beau Bichette. Beau Bichette, I think, maybe because he's more English. And I thought I should buy myself a baseball blouse. And I will read from Roger Khan. This is the book, Beyond the Voice of Summer. I have a series, whole series coming up. Stories on my. I've told you this. I won't repeat it. Okay, there is. All right. Brooklyn had a pitcher once, a left-hander named Nap Rucker. Nap stood for Napoleon. He threw the slowest slow ball in the world. If his pitches were so slow, why didn't everybody hit them? If he threw that slowly, I would have hit him, right? Wrong. Nap Rucker had a deceptive wind-up. He made the batters think he was rearing back for a fastball. Then, after all that motion, he threw the slow one. If everybody missed the slow ball because they'd been completely and utterly fooled, missed the slow ball or popped it up. So that's strategy for you. The man's coming up with fast ones, curve balls, and what have you, and then suddenly he gives one slow pitch, and it has the pitch bat hitter slumped. Yeah. Anyways, in cricket, you're running and the ball's got to be, you may get out. If you put the bat in, you're in. You don't need to run all the way up to the pitch, but close the wickets. Across the pitch, you don't need to run to your batting position. But in baseball, you got to be in, and you got to be in completely in. And the slide, phew, gets you in. And I'll spoil the story. My series is coming up, but I'll spoil the story. My son had this slide. It was all muddy, his baseball pants, and he wouldn't let me wash it because it was a lucky slide. It got him runs, and it didn't get him out. So he wouldn't let me wash it, and I secretly washed it. And I jigs the whole thing. His good run vanished. But then you can't send your son all the time with dirty pants. It's going to reflect badly on the mother. So, anyways, signing off. All my artwork is done. All right, signing off. Gayatri V. Sitaram. Thank you.